I'm Doug from Global West. Thought I'd take a minute here and talk to you about these lower control arms we have here on the table. These happen to be for 1978 through 96 Impala, Caprice, Biscayne. The control arms here are pretty unique. In the rear suspension, these control arms are actually opposing each other. They're kind of like this. And the upper control arms actually go like this. The upper control arms keep the differential in the center of the vehicle, while the lower control arms are considered followers. Now, something unique here. When the suspension moves up and down, and like I see, these are on an angle, they're not straight. As this moves up and down, this particular area that attaches to the frame actually has to tilt a little bit. Even though you're going straight ahead, this movement is not what you think. It actually has a slight twist to it. And the uppers are doing the same thing. They're doing this. Well, in our tubular control arms, what we've done is we put a spherical bearing in the front pickup point. A spherical bearing looks something like this. We got a couple spacers here. And if I grab onto the center of this bearing here, you can see how it allows me to tilt. And I can do any type of action here without any resistance. Well, we deliberately put that in the front of these control arms because if we lock that up with a bushing that doesn't allow for pivot like that, we've created a bind condition in the system. So it's very important that we make this free. The other thing too is it also reduces the amount of load on the bracket that attaches to the frame because there's going to be a twisting action going on there. By putting a bearing there, we eliminate that condition. Now on the other end, we run a Del-A-Lum bushing. Now Del-A-Lum bushings, we've talked about this in other videos. This works on 6 surfaces. It's got inner and outer thrust washers and an inner rotating sleeve. Then it's got a grease fitting here for lubrication. It won't squeak. Del-A-Lum bushings do not allow lateral movement. So here we've got this control arm in here, and this would be a lateral action. Well, this particular bushing will not allow that. It allows a straight up and down action, but no lateral. The bearing would allow lateral. Well, when you bolt this in on the vehicle and you have opposing angles, not parallel link, but opposing, the use of these Del-A-Lums will not allow the differential to go laterally. It actually reduces some of the load on the upper control arms. The bearing system that we have here takes the load off the frame. So we've got a pretty unique little setup here for the 78 through 96 Impalas. Another thing we give you too is hardware for your sway bar. On those particular vehicles, the sway bar bolts to the bottom of the control arm. And if you'll notice here, we've got a doubler plate as well. So the sway bar has a flat place to attach to. This particular kit is a TBC12. It's a direct bolt-on. It'll allow your stock sway bar, as you can see, to bolt directly on. It'll take the load off the frame, that twisting action going on there. Plus, it'll help the upper control arms keeping the differential in the center of the vehicle because of the Del-A-Lum bushings, which are lubable. These particular bearings that we use, they're Teflon lined. They don't rattle. They're not going to squeak on you. And you don't have to lubricate them because of the Teflon liner. If you try to lubricate them, you could actually contaminate the liner. These bearings are also replaceable. Everything wears out in time. This bearing is set up so that simple press work, C-clip inside, press the bearing out, put a new one in, good to go. They last a very long time. Part number TBC12. It's an excellent setup for the rear suspension on a 78 through 96.